Morning. Welcome to session 5 of chapter 2 of company law. Here we are going to discuss about one important topic, that is memorandum of association. To establish a joint stock company, we need to produce two important documents. One document which restricts the relationship of company with outside world, means the main objective for which the company is established. Regarding company, everything is explained. And another document which shows the total workings of the company, total policies, procedures made for its workings. Okay, so the main one of the main documents which a joint stock company need to produce before registrar of companies at the time of incorporation is memorandum of association. So every joint stock company need to produce this particular document and to be presented before memorandum registrar of companies as per the provisions of Companies Act. It regulates the relationship of company with the outside world. See what the definition given by Companies Act of 2013 about memorandum of association. Under section 2 subsection 56 of Companies Act of 2013, memorandum means the memorandum of association of a company as originally framed or altered from time to time in the pursuance of any provisions of Companies Act. Means memorandum of association is a document produced by the company as originally framed. It may be framed originally or even altered. There is a provision to alter memorandum of association from time to time in pursuance of any provisions of the Companies Act. If there is any amendment, of course, there is no need to tell that Companies Act also keeps on amending over the years according to the requirements in course of time. So if there is any change in Companies Act, automatically it necessitates memorandum of association of a company to make necessary modulations. So memorandum of association may be newly framed one or altered over time according to the requirement put in Companies Act, or according to the requirements. It goes in consonance with the changing clauses of Companies Act. Let's see, on the basis of definition, the meaning of memorandum of association. Memorandum of association regulates the relationship of company with outside world. In a sense, why the company is, what a company is, and about company it explains very well. Memorandum of association contains the fundamental provisions of a company's constitution. Means the important provisions of company's constitution, why that company is established and what are the provisions in the establishment of company, everything it explains. It defines as well as confines the powers of a company, why the company is obliged and for what the company is obliged, why the company is established, and what are the obligations for the company, everything it explains. It shows not only the objects of formation of the company and also determines possible scope of its operation beyond which it can go. Okay, it can't go. Here, the pervasiveness of activities for company is also determined in memorandum of association. Not only, see, in memorandum of association clearly we can understand the goal or objective for which company is established. At the same time, the scope of activities of the company and beyond which the companies should not go is also stated. And it's a public document, not a private document for the company. Memorandum of a company is a public document and all the members should sign in that memorandum of association. Okay, and every person who deals with the company or every person who is involving in the activities of company must have must have sufficient knowledge of, not minimum knowledge, must have sufficient knowledge of its contents. As per section 4 of Companies Act, it is considered as a charter of a company consisting of a fundamental conditions of incorporation, which can be altered only in accordance with the provisions of the Act. So, it's a charter. It's an important document of a company and provides for alteration only in accordance with the alteration in Companies Act, modulation in Companies Act. So, no company can be registered without Memorandum of Association. Therefore, it is rightly known as a life-giving document. Memorandum of Association is regarded as a life-giving document. Here, if I continue to say about a Memorandum of Association, as per Section 7 of Companies Act of 2013, Memorandum of Association must be printed, divided into paragraphs, numbered consecutively, and signed by all subscribers for shares of the company. 7 or 2 as the case may be, means 7 in the case of public companies, 2 in the case of private companies, in the presence of witnesses. So it must be in a printed form containing paragraphs, and every page should be numbered consecutively, and it must be signed by all the subscribers for shares, means all the members should sign in it, as I said just now. Memorandum of Association must be stamped according to the Stamp Act of the state in which the company is registered. So separate act called Stamp Act is there. It must Memorandum of Association must be properly stamped as per the rules and regulations of a Stamp Act of any state in which that company is registered. Say for example, company is registered in Karnataka, and according to the provisions of a Stamp Act prevailing in Karnataka, this must be stamped. Okay. Next one. Let's see why Memorandum of Association is needed, or what's the purpose behind the preparation of a Memorandum of Association. The very basic purpose of Memorandum of Association of a company is to make aware its reader. Okay. Generally, the member is shareholder, okay, stakeholder or investor or shareholder of the company, and he must know the objects of the company, and those objects which are permitted by law. The main reader of Memorandum of Association, or the first reader of Memorandum of Association, will be the member of the company, the shareholder of the company, and the objects must be within the purview of law, which are permitted by law. A company cannot act beyond the above said purpose unless approved under the law. Otherwise, it would lead to an ultra vires action to the company. If the company must perform activities within the purview, within the jurisdiction stated in Memorandum of Association, and if it moves beyond that, it will lead to ultra vires action of the company. And we are going to study about ultra vires action in the next course. An investor, like a shareholder or a stakeholder like a bank, usually checks the Memorandum of Association of a company to know about the permitted activities or business to that company, to finally decide whether to fund that company or not. See, shareholder is different from stakeholder. A shareholder is a person, one who has invested over the shares of the company, And stakeholder is a person who has an interest over the affairs of the company. Say for example, bank and other financial institutions or suppliers like creditors who have supplied raw materials to the company. These parties, general public who are continuously using the products of that company. So these are stakeholders. Okay, these parties are falling into the category of stakeholders. Why? Because they have immense interest over the activities, over the affairs of the company. Therefore here, say for example, one of the stakeholders is bank. So bank continuously watches. See, bank as a stakeholder observes continuously, keeps always in touch with the affairs of the company. Why? Because bank had lent, bank would have lent some amount of loan to the company, right? So it continuously watches the affairs of the company, and it observes memorandum of association continuously. The memorandum association of a company is a public document, and every person who deals with the company must have sufficient knowledge of it. So we can say that memorandum serves a twofold purpose. It enables shareholders, creditors, and all other stakeholders who deal with the company to know what is the power of the company, and what is the range of activities it is going to do. Thus, intending shareholder can find out the field in or the purpose for which his money is going to be used by the company, and what risk he is taking in making investment. Investors are always cautious and want to double their investment. Therefore, while making investment, they will be very eager to understand the ongoings of the company, and they are very much interested to know what actually going on in the company. Therefore here, memorandum of association, which clearly gives an investor the insider activities picture to an investor. Anyone dealing with the company, for example, a supplier of goods or money, will know whether the transaction he intends to make with the company is within the objects of the company and not ultravires its objects. If a financier or a loan lender or a supplier of raw materials, while lending goods, he can come to know that whether the company is serving, whether the objects set by the company is lawful or not, or against the interest of law. So if it is performing legally, if the supplier finds that the company is going to perform the acts legally, he can come forward to lend loans. So this much is about memorandum of association, and we are moving on to the important aspect of memorandum of association, that is clauses. Okay, clauses of memorandum of association. First and foremost one is name clause. Here, name clause, according to section 4 subsection 1 subsection A, here this is the first clause in memorandum of association, which states the name with which a company proposes to be registered. As the clause says, name clause which says the proposed name of a company, means with what name the company gets registered. It says a company being a legal entity must have a name of its own to establish its separate entity. The name of the company is the symbol of its independent corporate existence. So say for example XYZ Limited, ABC Limited. So if both the companies are named ABC Limited and ABC Limited, we can't identify these two, right? Therefore here for separate identity, company will be named differently. So name clause contains the name with which the company is proposed to be registered. The name of the company is the symbol of its independent existence. A company may adopt any suitable name provided it's not undesirable in the opinion of the central government. So, company must, it is in the hands of promoters to select the name for the company, and while selecting the name also, it must not be undesirable in the opinion of central government. So the name of the company and address of its registered office must be exhibited to the outside world. Every office, every place at which business of the company is carried on must be clearly stated to the outside world. The name must also be engraved on the company's seal. So engraving the name of the company on company's seal is also needed. The name and address must be mentioned legibly in the business letters, notices, bills and publications. So whatever the letters get introduced from the company must be sufficiently included the name of the company, like letters, notices, bills and other publications. See, the following rules are mentioned in section 4 of Companies Act of 2013 must be followed while selecting the name of the company. There are some laid down rules. Let's see it. Means while selecting the name of the company, these points should be borne in mind. The first one is, name should not be undesirable in the opinion of a central government. According to section 4 subsection 2 subsection B, selected name proposed for the company should be desirable in the opinion of central government. And second one, the name should not be identical with other company's name. Okay, both the company's name should not be identical. The name proposed for our company should not be as same as the name kept for another company, according to section 4 subsection 2 subsection A. Even a letter change should be there. Okay. The name should not constitute an offense under any law. Section 4 subsection 2 subsection B means the name proposed for the company should not be an offense. And next one, the name of the company should not be prohibited by the emblems and names. Prevention of Improper Use Act of 1950. Here, the name should not be prohibited by emblems and names. Next one, the public company with the limited liability must add the word limited at the end of its name. So while explaining public company, I have explained it sufficiently. And the private company with the words private limited according to section 4 subsection 1 subsection A. And any word or expression which is likely to be given an impression that the company is in any way connected with or having patronage of government, local authority, corporation or any word or expression as may be prescribed by the rule must be obtained permission of central government, section 4 subsection 3. See, in this point they are saying that if any word or any expression if you are adding in the proposed name of company, and if it makes general public to understand that it is connected with either central government or state government or local authority or any governmental body, then prior permission from central government is needed. This is about name clause. And second one is registered office clause. It is also called situation clause. And here registered office clause or situation clause according to section 4 subsection 1 subsection B. The second clause of the memorandum of association is situation clause. It specifies the state in which the registered office of the company is situated or located. Every company must have a registered office which establishes its registered office which establishes its domain and also the address at which the company's statutory books must normally be kept and to which notices and other communications can be sent. The domain office is to be mentioned. In registered office clause, the registered office of the company, the place where registered office of the company is situated, and the official address of the company, as well as the important books, important documentary evidences of the company are kept in that registered office, and all communications are done with the company through that office is to be mentioned here. The notice of exact situation, exact address of the registered office shall be given to the Register of Companies within 15 days from the date of incorporation according to section 12. See, we need to study little more about this registered office and how to verify registered office. Answer is subsection 2 of section 12 of Companies Act of 2013. It requires that the company must furnish the register of verification of its registered office within a period of 30 days of its incorporation by filing any of the prescribed documents. Okay, registrar within 30 days of its incorporation. Okay, what is that? The company must furnish to the registrar verification of its registered office within 30 days of its incorporation by filing the above document, by filing the following documents. Means with the registrar, the company, the promoters must file the necessary documents proving the registered office of the company within 30 days of incorporation. Rule 25 of Companies Incorporation Rules of 2014 in this regard provides as follows. The verification of the registered office shall be filed in form number INC 22 along with the prescribed fees. And there shall be attached to the form any of the following documents. First one, registered document of the title of the premise of the registered office in the name of the company. Registered document of the title of a premise. Okay, and the title of the premise of the company means that particular premise is belonging to that promoter. A certificate or a document proving that that premise is belonging to the promoters for the establishment of company. So that document. Or second one, a notarized copy means a copy which is notarized, okay, which has taken the signature of notary. Copy of lease or rent agreement in the name of the company. Say for example, the company may be situated in an area which is taken on lease or rent, or if it is a permanent land acquired for the establishment of company, then the title deed of that title deed of land acquisition, or title deed of land acquisition, or if it is taken on lease or rent, then notarized copy of lease or rent agreement should be submitted along with a copy of rent paid receipt not older than 1 month. Okay, recent rent paid receipt should also be attached to it. And third one, authorization from the owner or authorized occupant of the premises along with the proof of ownership or occupancy authorization to use the premises by the company as it's a registered office. See, somebody must permit, if it is taken on rent, somebody must permit that land must be owned by some other parties, right? So, if some other parties lent the land to establish a registered office, then they must, a letter permitting by the third party to establish their registered office in their land should also be attached. Proof of evidence of any utility service like telephone, gas, electricity, etc., depicting the address of the premises in the name of the owner of the document, owner or the document as case may be, which is not older than 2 months. So, any proof of evidence can be produced. And third one is objects clause, the main reason for which company is established according to section 4 subsection 1 subsection 3. The third compulsory clause of memorandum of association is the object clause, which sets out the object for the company has been formed, for which the company has been formed. The main object for which, again I am pressing it, object for which the company is established. The object clause also defines and confines the scope of company's powers, to what extent the company is eligible to use its powers. The object of the company must state in clear and definite forms. See, these may be the objects, okay? Let me list out one by one. First one, the object for which the company is proposed to be incorporated. See, the object clause may include the objects for which company is proposed to be incorporated, any matter considered necessary in furtherance of the stated objects. Okay, these two should be stated. The subscribers to memorandum of association are free to choose any lawful objects for the company subject to the following restrictions, provided the object must be lawful. The object should not be illegal. The object should not go against the provisions of Companies Act. The object should not be against the general law of land. So, by these 3 points, it will be crystal clear for you that object must be lawful. And next one, liability clause. According to section 4 subsection 1 subsection D, the fourth important clause of memorandum of association is the liability clause, which states that the liability of members. The liability of members of the company is limited. It may be limited by shares or limited by guarantee or unlimited. The effect of this clause is that a company, if limited by shares, no member can be called upon to pay more than the unpaid amount of his shares. So, companies limited by shares have sufficiently explained in the previous sessions. Means, if the share is priced 10 rupees and subscribers paid 8 rupees, 2 rupees is outstanding from each outstanding on each share. So, they are liable to pay the unpaid amount of 2 rupees only. So, their liability is restricted only to the extent of 2 rupees on each share. If the shares are fully paid, his liability becomes nil according to section 4 subsection 1 subsection D subsection I. In a company limited by guarantee, the liability clause must state the amount which each member should undertake to contribute to the assets at the time of winding up of the company, liquidation of the company. So at the time of formation of company itself, the members will agree that some amount they will contribute at the time of liquidation of company, and they are obliged to bring that amount at the same time occurs. He cannot be called upon to pay the sum guaranteed to be paid before the company goes into liquidation. Section 4 subsection 1 subsection D subsection 2. In case of unlimited company, the liability of member is unlimited. Even by selling the personal property, they need to bring the amount. Next one is capital clause. Here, section 4 subsection 1 subsection E. This is the fifth compulsory clause which must state the amount of capital with which the company is registered and its division into a certain number of shares of a particular nominal value. So total capital employed in the company is stated in capital clause. The capital mentioned in memorandum is variously described as nominal capital or authorized capital or registered capital. Unless the need arises, the capital cannot be altered. So the effect of this clause is that the company cannot issue more shares than are authorized by its memorandum, except by altering the memorandum as provided in section 94. The amount of nominal capital is determined having regard to the present as well as future requirements of the company. Means the nominal capital authorized in memorandum will be nominal. Nominal considering the future requirements of the company. Last one is subscription clause or association clause. The memorandum of association concludes with the subscription clause, which consists of declaration by the subscribers to memorandum. In this clause, subscribers to memorandum should declare that with the several persons whose names and addresses are subscribed are desirous of being formed into a company in pursuance of this memorandum of association and respectively agree to take the number of shares in the capital of the company set opposite our respective names. See, to bring it to very simple words, here the members are saying that the numbers allotted, shares allotted for each member, the members are saying that through this clause, members are saying that we are ready to purchase the shares allotted to each one in respect to our names. This is followed by the names, addresses, occupation of the subscribers and the number of shares held and signature attested by witnesses. So this is about subscription clause. Hope you understood. Thank you.